Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and I can be reached at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com or at my website, DavidisinFlorida.com. If you want to learn about what's happening in the Villages real estate market, if you'd like to become expert in what's happened recently, and also get a good idea as to long-term trends, this is the channel for you. Every week we take an in-depth look at what's happening in the Villages real estate market. We look at long-term trends and we break the villages down into different regions. You can see how much activity there is in the different regions of the villages and how prices vary between the different regions. If you're a buyer who's looking to find a good deal in the villages, please reach out to me at DavidisinFlorida.com. Or if you're a seller trying to maximize their return in a reasonable period of time, similarly, please reach out to me, DavidisinFlorida.com. A couple of things to note before we start. We produce the show every week. Make sure you check the date to ensure you're getting the most recent information. Secondly, all of this information is drawn from the multiple listing service. It does not include any information from the VLS. The Villages has two separate real estate marketplaces, the MLS and the VLS. The VLS is run by the Villages themselves. It's the only place you'll find new listings, and they have previously owned homes for sale there as well. The MLS works just the same as it does in other real estate markets. We have only pre-owned homes on the MLS, and all of this information is drawn from the MLS. If you're a buyer in the Villages, you really should have representatives from the VLS and the MLS. Without both, you won't see everything that's for sale here. And if you're a seller, you need to decide if you're going to list your home on VLS or MLS. You cannot list it on both. If you have any questions about the advantages or disadvantages of either, please reach out to me. If you find this information valuable, please consider subscribing and or liking the channel. It really would help us with the YouTube algorithm. And please also don't forget to visit our website, DavidisinFlorida.com. We're adding new content all the time. We've just revamped the website. Please visit and let us know what you think. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at what's happening in the Villages real estate market this week. We start every week by taking a look at what's happening with the yield on the US government 10-year note. Mortgage rate most closely tracks this note yield, and what you're looking at here are daily bars. Each of the bars you see represents a day. On the far right, those two green bars represent a dramatic increase in rates. Friday of last week and today, Powell came out and said that perhaps rates weren't going to be dropping as quickly as people had thought. Rates have jumped about 0.4% just over the last 2 days alone, and if the next move in rates is higher, we'll have to see what that will mean for real estate. But there is good news in the Villages real estate market this week. We'll get to that right now. This is a long-term chart showing us the number of listings in effect every week, going back almost 2 years now. This week there are 379 active listings. Last week there were 378. The same week a year ago there were 316. Currently, listings in the Villages range from 159,000 to 1,750,000. We did have a house for $2.5 million that was for sale. I'll get to that in a minute. As I mentioned, we are going to break down the differences between the different regions of the Villages, but for the moment we're going to focus on long-term trends. And this chart shows us, going back about 2 years, the median listing price per square foot for all of the listings in the Villages. This week it's down from $264.03 to $262.01, which is lower than the $263.33 that was in effect for the same week a year ago. It had looked as if this chart, after basing, was heading higher. With this later data point, we'll have to wait and see. Here's the last of our long-term charts on listings. Before we break it down by region, here we're looking at how long homes have been on the market. This is the median time on the market for all listings. Currently it's 55 days, up from 51 days last week and higher than the 51 days that was in effect the same week a year ago. Here's a different graphical representation. Here we're looking at a map that is showing us the entirety of the Villages, and every dot that you see on this map is an active listing. The size of the dot represents the size of the home, and the color of the dot represents the price per square foot. The larger the dot, the larger the home. The lighter the dot, the more expensive per square foot. So a small dark circle will be a smaller home, at a lower price per square foot, and a large bright circle will be a more expensive home. Dark circle will be less expensive per square foot. So what you're looking at here is the entirety of the villages. The four regions that we've broken the villages down into are first the north, which you can see here is bounded on the north by Highway 42 and on the south by Highway 466. Once again, on these maps, every dot represents an active listing. This is the area we're calling the Mid-North. It is bounded on the north by Highway 466 and on the south by Highway 466A. And this is the area we're calling the Mid-South. It is bounded on the north by Highway 466A and on the south by Highway 44. And finally, this is the area I'm calling the South, which is everything south of Highway 44. I would make this note: if you are a buyer and you're looking specifically in the south of the villages, you really should consider VLS. In addition to MLS, VLS does seem to have significantly more pre-owned homes for sale in the south than the MLS does. Now we're going to break down all the listings and look at the differences between the regions of the villages. As you can see here, north, middle south, and south. You can see how many properties there are for sale in each of the regions. Total listings on the right, and the graph below is for the entirety of the villages. At the top on the left, in the north, 182 properties for sale. In the south, only 33. In the north, the median size is 1,392 square feet and the price is $344,000. In the south, the median size is 1,527 square feet with a median price of $435,000. Here's another way of looking at the listings, similarly broken down by region. You can see in each price segment how many homes are available for sale in the entirety of the villages on the right and in the four sub areas of the villages as I've broken them down on the left. Here we take another look at all listings. We're looking at how long they've been on the market in the different regions of the villages. In the villages as a whole, the median time on the market for all listings is 47 days. In the north, it's 51 days. In the south, it's only 38 days. In the villages as a whole, there are 74 properties that have been on the market for 100 days or longer. In the south, there are only 3. This is the last look at all listings. Once again, we've broken it down by price segment. The color represents each region, and you can see how many properties are available in each area of the villages in each price segment. If you'd like copies of any of these slides, please reach out to us at DavidisinFlorida.com. We'll be happy to send you anything you need, or we hope you'll find what you need on the website. This is one of the big data points. This is the number of new listings every week and the number of homes going pending every week. We think this is a good measure of supply and demand. New homes entering the market as new listings, homes leaving the market going pending. Last week there were 49 new listings compared to 45 the week before, and compared to 39 the year before. There were 53 homes that went pending compared to 45 the week before, and compared to 32 for the same week a year ago. We do like to see homes going pending exceed the number of new listings. Obviously, if there are more new listings than homes going pending, then supply increases, and that's not good for the market. To that end, we produce this graph, which shows you the difference between the two. Here we can see the difference between new listings and homes going pending. 0 represents the same number every week. A positive reading is more homes going pending than being listed. Similarly, a reading below 0 represents more new listings than homes going pending, encouraging to see more homes going pending than being listed over the last 7 days. Here we look at the long-term chart, which shows us the median price per square foot at which the homes going pending went pending. This week, it's jumped from $246.50 last week to $257.39 this week. Last year, it was $260.10. It's interesting that this year, the price per square foot jumped from $246.50 to $257.39, which is an $11 increase. Last year, it jumped from $243 to $260, which is a $16 increase. While we're talking about homes going pending, it's worth mentioning that over the last 2 or 3 weeks, 2 of the more expensive homes here in the villages have gone pending. On February the 1st, a house on Turnberry Forest went pending for $1,750,000, which was full asking price. And on the 25th of January, another home on Turnberry Forest went pending for $2.5 million. That's over $4 million into Turnberry Forest in just a 2-week period. Here we look at how long homes have been on the market before going pending. Last week, the median time was 22 days compared to 17 days for the prior week and compared to 61 days for the same week a year ago. Just one or two more long-term charts before I break it down by region. Here we're looking at the total number of sales. Last week, 39 homes closed compared to 24 the previous week and compared to 28 the same week a year ago. Homes that closed range in price from $185,000 to $622,000. This is a long-term chart of the median price per square foot realized on the home's closing. Last week it was $233 a square foot, up from the $226 of the previous week, but still down noticeably from the $245 that was in effect for homes that closed a year ago. Here's a chart that should cause some alarm. This is the median time on the market for the homes that closed last week. It jumped to 66 days from 36 days the week before, and that compares to 34 days on the market for the same week a year ago. Now we can compare the different areas of the villages and look at homes that either sold or went pending over the last 60 days. Keep in mind the other information was weekly data. Here we're looking at the last 60 days. Total number of homes that either sold or went pending in the villages was 356. Median size of all those properties was 1,565 square feet, and the median price was $385,000. In the north, 168 properties either sold or went pending. In the south, over the last 60 days, only 26. A couple more looks at properties that sold and closed over the last 60 days give us a pretty good sense of the state of the market. You can see the price ranges, how many properties either went pending or sold over the last 60 days in each price segment for each of the regions of the villages. And another perspective on the same data, you're looking at properties either selling or going pending over the last 60 days. You can see by color which region of the villages it was in, and you can see on the left-hand axis what the price range was. We've been keeping track of this long-term chart for a while. This shows us what percentage of all listings in the villages have reduced their asking price from the original listing price. And villages are reducing their prices again. This week, the percentage with a price reduction is up to 53.5% from below 52% last week, and up from exactly 50% the same week a year ago. The good news is that the decrease required of sellers seems to have moderated. Last week, the median decrease for all listings from the original listing price was a 3.85% reduction, identical to the 3.85% of the week before, and virtually unchanged from the 3.88% that we saw last week. So to summarize this week, it certainly seems as if the selling season has started off with a bang. We did see the increase in sales and homes going pending that we'd hoped to see. It was accompanied by an increase in new listings, but that is very common at this time of year. But the next couple of weeks are going to be key to see what the rest of the year holds here in the Villages real estate market. Please don't forget to tune in and subscribe if you want to be kept up to date on what's happening here. If you're a buyer and you're trying to get a good deal, please reach out to me, DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com, or the website, DavidisinFlorida.com. Similarly, if you're a seller and you're trying to maximize your return, DavidisinFlorida.com or DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. If you have any questions about life in the villages, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer them or to help you in any way I can. Hope to hear from you. Take care.